We're gonna have so much fun.
Oh my gosh, I am loving this. All right, meeting is now streaming. All righty, just a second. Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here at Hemp Your Health. This is our last and final show for 2020. And last week, we had our president and CEO, Shane Mutter, on, and we did a year in review and a little bit about our guests from the past Hemp Your Health. And I want to start off with just saying thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for supporting CJ System and encouraging our success and our growth. And I hope that we are doing the same for you. So thank you for making time for yourself, for your health, and your education. It means everything to us. And I am always here, and I want to hear from you about what you need and what you want to learn about. So again, thank you. This has been an amazing year at CJ System because of all of you. And today's show is really incredible. We have an amazing guest. She's an affiliate with CJ System, and we'll go into a little bit of that later. And she's intelligent, she's radiant, and she comes with a lot of personal experience. Her name is Kim DelaSalle, and she's the director of Transformed. Did I say that right?
You did great.
I was practicing. So Kim DelaSalle is our...
you did great.
Thank you. And this beautiful woman is the director of Transformed by Grace. She is a substance abuse counselor and facilitator for substance abuse groups. For the past 27 years, she has been a PTSD and trauma coach for combat veterans and behavioral health. She is a mom of 7, and she has a small farm in Louisiana. Kim, thank you so much for being here. I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, Christy, it is really, truly an honor for you to ask me to be on this. You've had so many amazing people on your show with so much education and a wealth of information that they so generously share. I've learned so much from your show and everything. And being with CJ System, I have to give the biggest shout out to this great company and the people that are affiliates and people that run the company and everything. We truly are a tribe. We truly are a family. Whenever they say, if you need something, they sincerely mean it. And I know I've reached out a couple of times, and just amazing. Whenever they say, I love you, you can feel it. You can feel it. It is just really amazing. So I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here and for being such a great company.
Well, thank you. And Kim and I have had quite a few conversations, sometimes by phone, sometimes through email, and she shares the best stories with me and has used hemp in so many ways. And we have an affiliate call every Friday where we do sharing and education and things like that. And one of the reasons I want you to share your wisdom is because addictions and your experience with addictions is such a big deal. And in 2020, there's 13% reported for drug use and deaths. And I don't think that's going away. Stress is a contributor. All these things are a contributor. So I love, maybe we just start with, what is PTSD and how do you know if you're abusing a substance or you're just using it? Is there a fine line? Is there some sort of way that we can call ourselves out if we think we're going down a not so good path?
Oh, absolutely. PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. And what it does is anytime whenever you have a trauma, it can be from your childhood, it can be something really big as you were abused. Certainly it is in combat veterans through all of the things that they've been through in war and just being desensitized and being exposed to so many different things. People in general, you can have PTSD because somebody said something to you and it caused you to feel such an inner trauma, and a lot of that comes from shame or, any feeling that it will trigger. And it's post-traumatic stress syndrome. And it just actually, it just kind of gets in your body, if that kind of makes sense. We get stuck in that fight or flight and we don't all the time realize that that's what we're stuck in. And it affects every single part of your system, but mainly mentally and emotionally. It really, comes out in those ways. And a lot of people will treat post-traumatic stress disorder with using substances. Either it's alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be destructive behaviors, it could be, anger, it could be excessive eating, technology, it can be a lot of things, but it's just to kind of fill that void or block that out because it's hard to address those traumas. And also, one thing that PTSD can be is from a traumatic brain injury, from the frontal lobe. And a lot of times in combat veterans, it's not just that they've seen so much or because they've done so much. It's actually from the percussions from bombs going off, or if they were in an accident or hit by something, people that have concussions, frontal lobe.
Wow. And so even kids, a lot of kids bump their head and have concussions and things like that. And I love what you said. Sometimes the trauma can happen early on, and then that cellular memory just sort of hardwires or lays down a memory, and it's cellular. It's not just this, moral dilemma or lack of moral compass. This is truly a brain disease. It's not lack of morals or willpower or et cetera. And they figured this out through brain imaging technology, showing specific disruptions in brain circuits. So I want everyone to understand, if you have a friend or a family member, colleague, et cetera, who has PTSD and or a substance abuse, it could be a phone, it could be food, it could be alcohol, it could be anger, could be behavior, just like Kim said. This isn't something that you can just wish away. It does really take someone like Kim and an expert to change that behavior and that cellular memory. There's something I heard recently that the issues are in your tissues. And I love that.
I love that.
Because our fascia and our connective tissue is really sort of the pulse of our nervous system, all of the nervous system. And
absolutely. And another thing with substance abuse is that over time, and it could be completely unintentional, people have chronic pain, people have maybe a mental illness or something like that, like depression, where they would have to use a narcotic. Sometimes those type of drugs are necessary. But what happens is, in part of the addiction process, our bodies become chemically dependent. And that goes hand in hand with substance abuse. Whenever your brain gets used to these chemicals being introduced, and you are, you have your dopamine and your serotonin and cortisol and all these other type of things that these drugs are actually feeding your brain. Your brain is like, a Pac-Man. It's like, nom, 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 nom. Well, then your brain gets lazy and it quits making these things that it should be making naturally. And then whenever that happens, well, then your tolerance level is going to build up. Well, 10 milligrams doesn't work anymore. So we're going to up it to 20. And the next thing you know, you're doing 100 milligrams multiple times a day. You are chemically dependent. Your body and your brain is chemically dependent. So whenever people say, why can't you just stop? If you just stop, you are going to get sick. And of course, yes, stop. You know, whenever you can't stop doing something, that's whenever you know you have a problem. If you have a loved one or a friend that says, hey, you're acting totally different, you're nodding off, you know, all these things, you're in trouble and you should reach out for help. And there is no shame in doing that. There's no shame in it. I've been there, done that, you know.
I agree.
And I'm here today to be able to talk about it because I finally reached out.
Oh, that was such a beautiful explanation of how that chemical dependency sort of shifts our chemistry and takes over. What have you seen, or how have you seen CBD help people with substance abuse issues or dependencies, or that chemical, rechemicalization from prescription drugs and or any kind of addiction?
Well, there are so many really, really good studies that are out there being done on how CBD works in the brain chemically to help kind of cut that connection, kind of that channel from opiates or whatever chemical is being introduced into the brain, how it actually can stop it. And whenever you're quitting and all that kind of stuff, a lot of people do what they call medically assisted treatment. And whenever they do that, a lot of people will use methadone or Suboxone and stuff like that, so that they don't just get really sick. And it does help with cravings from other things. The thing about it is they very easily can get addicted to these other medications. And with using CBD, you don't have that addiction. It's not addictive. It's not psychotropic. You're not going to get high off of it. It does help a general feeling of well-being. It does stop those cravings. It helps you to relax and just, you know, it just works so much better. And like I said, there's a lot of research on it, a lot of really good studies. I know from my own personal experience with using CBD, I smoked for years and years. Whenever I first started using CBD products, I'm not thinking, hey, I want to quit smoking.
Are you talking about tobacco?
Yeah, cigarettes. Yeah, cigarettes. Heavy smoker. But this was something, and it was completely unintentional. I wasn't thinking about I was going to quit smoking or anything, but I started taking my CBD. I took it regularly, and it stopped me from having these nicotine cravings. And I noticed I wasn't going outside to smoke anymore. You know, we all have our little routines. You know, I smoke when I talk on the phone. I smoke when I wake up or after I eat or whenever I drink or anything. And I noticed it just didn't bother me. I didn't want to get up and smoke a cigarette. And so I think I got that COVID-19, you know, you got the freshman 15 pounds and then you have the COVID-19 pounds. Well, I can say kind of quitting smoking and COVID-19 kind of, you know, filled me up on that because I kind of munched out a little bit, but I don't smoke.
That's incredible.
And it was not anything that, and so, but sometimes whenever I do get a craving for it, I can just go do a couple of little drops of my CBD tincture. It works.
That is so.
And I wasn't trying to quit smoking, and that's the whole big thing.
That is so cool. A friend of mine, Manny Johnson, was explaining this study that they did with tobacco smokers. So they gave tobacco smokers hemp. And then they addicted, and I forget how long they had been smoking, but it was a long time. And they had so much success with just the addiction just falling away. And one of the reasons is because CBD is not rewarding. It's balancing, it's regulating, and you can't just change how you think without changing your habits. And one of the more powerful things about how CBD works on the central and peripheral nervous system is that it undoes fear reconsolidative memories. So just like you were saying, like, it's not that you weren't just thinking about it, but when you go to the phone or you have a drink and that habit forming, right? It undoes, it's like it's undoing these habits in the fear reconsolidative memories, the triggers. I get triggered by stress, I want to eat something. And a lot of people have said this has helped with their sugar cravings, because that's a huge addiction for some people, especially during the COVID-19. And so when you're stuck in that negative feedback loop, you can't be creative. But when those fear memories that get triggered all the time, every day, start to fade away, then so do the substance abuse habits, because it's not being reinforced. And I think that's so powerful. And have you also heard that when people are withdrawing from sort of the psychotropic prescriptions, like for depression and anxiety too, that this can help with lessen the withdrawals from those medications? Have you?
Yes.
That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely it can. And then I'll say this too. Anytime that you're going to stop a medication, and especially if it is psychotropics, if you're treating for anxiety or depression or manic depressive disorder or schizophrenia, anything like that, obsessive compulsive disorder, talk to your doctor first. Do not just stop taking these medications. These medications, again, affect your brain chemically, because most mental illnesses are a chemical imbalance. A lot of people, oh, you're crazy. It's a chemical imbalance, and people have such a stigma about it. It irks me. But yes, CBD just absolutely can help to wean yourself off of these type of medications. And it's a great thing. I know a lot of times medication is necessary. There might be some medications that you cannot stop taking. It is for your own well-being, and it's not because you're abusing it. It's because you need it. It's a medicine. But in the same way, CBD, you can use it like a medicine, like a supplement with those things. But it definitely does help the weaning process, because like you said, it brings your whole system back into a rhythm that is normal and it is natural. And I cannot begin to tell you how much better you will feel just getting your body back to its natural state, the way that it was meant to be, the way that you were created to be.
I love this. And even if you're addicted to stress, like that's your go-to, like that high anxiety, that stress, that's 95% of all chronic conditions are triggered by stress. Chronic stress isn't normal. So, and it really contributes to almost every single disease out there, because it's inflammatory. It rewires your brain, and your immune system doesn't work as well. You can't absorb nutrients. And it's a big deal to quiet that noise and to calm down and to be present, because we're just so like reacting all the time, and there's all these unknowns, and to have some peace and quiet just in the brain, instead of that revved up, overfiring, over signaling, looking for something that your body's kind of hardwired to do, substance abuse, anything.
Right.
92% of Americans consider cell phones an addiction these days. There's so many things that we can escape into. And I just want to do a little shout out to the parents, because 14.8% now. So just shy of 15% of all young adults have at least one substance that they're abusing or have a disorder around. So watch your kids. It doesn't have to be drugs, just like Kim was saying. It could be behavioral. And if it's just that feedback loop, hemp and CBD, your body is wired for it. It is genetically ready for it. We have receptors all over for it. And it's never going to be euphoric and it's never going to be depressive, because it's just creating balance within your body so that you can signal without all those triggers and those incorrect pathways that came from trauma and stress. Any closing?
Right.
This is so fascinating. I'd actually like to do a whole show with you around PTSD and addictions, and children and how they're becoming more addicted. And because combat veterans are a big deal, but anxiety, overwhelm, depression, insomnia, all these like high anxiety, high stressors are part of the PTSD spectrum. So don't think that you don't have PTSD. I would say almost everyone has PTSD, and let's undo some of that before we bring in some things that aren't so healthy.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, to say the least, 2020 has been rough. It's been rough on everybody. It's been rough on our kids. It's been rough on the youth. They've seen way too much. They've heard way too much. Whenever they have fearful parents and they're watching the news, they are fearful. They don't know what to make of it. And the younger ones, they don't have the maturity to process it the way that we do. And how do you explain that? How do you explain that on their age level where they can really understand? You know, my husband and I, we got coronavirus, and, you know, we didn't see our little grandson for about a month. And whenever we finally got him back, and we said, "Oh, buddy, we were sick. We had coronavirus." And he says, and he's 4, and he goes, "Y'all had the coronavirus? You didn't wash your hands?"
Oh.
And it was so sweet, but that's how he relates to it. You know, he's in pre-K. He goes to pre-K, and this is what he knows about school. You wear a mask. You don't see your teacher's face. You can't read expressions. And you get home, and your parents are stressed out, or they're not at work, or they're and all of these different things. He's 4 years old. He's been raised on stress.
No.
You have to, you know, people will say, like, you know, you got to calm yourself down. And I'm like, you got to calm your vagus system down, you know, take some CBD. It's all good, you know, but just people need to slow down. People need to be present, be here in the moment. Turn off the TV, spend some time, take your shoes off, go walk outside barefooted in the grass, feel the earth, smell the air, look up. There's a whole big world out there, and guess what? It's beautiful, and it's simple, and it's here for us to enjoy. Get out of all that other junk. It's, you know, it's not worth it.
I love that so much, because just even being out in nature can really change some of the signals that are going on in us. And stress, but we'll wrap up on this, because I really want to get to your mama knows best part too. And so stress, just keep in mind that when we're stressed chronically, our attention, we're hardwired when there's stress, we'll keep our attention in the outside world. And because that's where the stress is, right? And so we're so hyper vigilant on outside that we can't go in, we can't calm down. And that's why hemp in this endocannabinoid system, its tone and health are so important, because you can't try to force health. You really have to feed health, whether it's from nature or food or hemp. Friends, family, health comes in many, many forms, but you definitely have to have a healthy endocannabinoid system to help. And there's more foods than just hemp that helps with your endocannabinoid system, but it really does take
Absolutely.
fear from the outside world and helps you just be inside in a peaceful, present spot, like you were saying. You can cut down on the noise and the distractions of the news, because Lord knows it's not all true.
Well, I agree with that. And, you know, there's a saying, and most of y'all know what it is, but I won't say the whole thing. We'll do a muskrat on this. But, you know, everybody has an opinion.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody has an opinion.
And
it is just that. It is an opinion. And you, just because you don't agree doesn't mean that you have to go through for the throat or just demand that they do it your way, because that's the only way or anything. If you don't agree with somebody, agree to disagree and everybody move on. Let's be kind people. Let's be kind to one another, you know, and have respect, not just for each other, for ourselves.
I love that. Yes, let's start with ourselves, and then that will mirror and reflect even more peaceful behavior. Kim, you have taught me so much about how to use hemp, like as an everyday, you know, you go to your medicine cabinet for this or that, but you've taught me so much about how to use hemp outside of like just the traditional things, like, you know, a burn or a rash or things like that. So I have been so excited to get you on here to share how you use and some of the ways that you've experimented and had success with hemp in your medicine cabinet for you, your kids, your grandkids, your animals. So let's roll down that.
Let's go down that one. I think you and I talked one time, and that movie that says My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and the dad on there, everything, just put some Windex on it. You know, it was before her wedding day, and she says, oh my gosh, I have a zit. Put some Windex on it. Okay, I am like that with CBD. Everything, you know, oh, my elbow hurts. Let's put some CBD salve on it. You know, I have a cough. Whenever I was quitting smoking unintentionally, you know, your body wants to rid itself of all of this really funky, nasty stuff that has built up in your lungs. I had no idea I was that gross on the inside. I mean, and that's just the ugly truth of the matter. Whenever I would start getting, you know, like a coughing fit or something like that, I would just go take 3 or 4 drops of some tincture or get one of the honey sticks, soothed my cough, made my throat feel better. You know, plus it's an anti-inflammatory. It kind of stops those spasms, and it, you know, helps you kind of calm down and relax and everything. So not going around just with this big hack all the time. So it's great for that. I suggest anybody, if you're not feeling well, if, you know, your throat hurts or something like that, you have a cough, get a cup of tea, you know, put some honey stick in it, just chill out, you know, make a hot toddy with it. It's pretty good too. I use it on the dogs if they get a hot spot or anything like that. One of our horses had a cut on her tail and it wouldn't heal. We put some of the honey stick on it, which is, honey is a natural antimicrobial, antibiotic. The CBD is anti-inflammatory, and it started to heal up. I mean, that thing had been wide open for, you know, a year, and she didn't want anybody to fool with it or anything. Yes, it was amazing. It started to heal up, and the infection went down on it and everything. We had to keep her separated from the other horses because they like honey, and it was just, you know, funny honey. But anybody that knows me, you all that are watching out there, expect the unexpected over here at the farm, because if it's going to happen and it's going to be weird, it's going to be here. Tons of stories on that. So y'all know it's hilarious. But one of the things is that, so me and my husband, we took off to go to the Grand Canyon one day because we could. And our kids are grown, they're out of the house, And this was the best part, you know, whenever you think about, you know, your kids getting older and they're going to be out of the house, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And one of the things we talked about was going to the Grand Canyon. Well, we said, okay, let's go. We threw some bags in the truck. We took off. We did not tell our kids until we were in Dallas. Texted them, hey, guess what? We went to the Grand Canyon. We'll be back whenever we get back. Too funny. Loved it. They were shocked. They were like, are you serious? And I'm like, yes, indeed. Bye. Bye, Felicia's. But so anyway, we get back. We got COVID and flu B back to back to back. So we were quarantined for like a month. And then we finally got our grandson back. That baby had lice. He was at the house for a couple of hours. He was scratching his head. I told my husband, I said, look at his head. Sure enough, he had lice. So we were like, we're going to have to throw the whole kid away. I mean, nobody wants to talk about lice. Everybody gets grossed out. You start feeling itchy just talking about it, you know. Me, I'm like, well, put some CBD on it. And I can tell you the coconut salve I love. CBD is a natural pesticide. Hemp is a natural pesticide. Of course, I research everything. I love to Google everything. I will research it till I will go so far back in time. It's like not even written on a stone tablet anymore. You know, it's just, I've looked that far back. And I found that information in an old farmer's almanac on Google Books from 1937 about hemp products and the use of them as a natural pesticide.
Oh my gosh.
And they used it way back in the day to treat lice, mites, things in your garden to keep rodents away, all kind of really cool stuff. So
so you started using it
lice.
there. Did it work? Did it come back?
It did work. It did work. I have that. I put the coconut salve and I just melted it down a little bit. I put 3 or 4 drops of the tincture in it. And then I put some rosemary and thyme essential oils. It smells good, but that also works in conjunction with everything. And you know, the coconut, it's really gentle. It's so good for your hair, all that kind of stuff. And it kind of helped ease some of the irritation for the scalp and everything. So I sent you those pictures and his hair was like all spiked up and everything. So we treated it and everything. And the thing about getting rid of lice is combing it out. Get a good knit comb. And as much as it might gross you out, you have to do it and you have to be consistent with it. And we stayed up till wee hours of the morning sanitizing everything. You don't have to just like wash everything. You do have to sanitize it though, get it up to about 130 degrees, put it all in the dryer and let it go for 20 minutes. It will kill the bugs. Something really interesting though that I learned, lice can run about 9 miles per hour.
Oh,
how crazy is that? They're
that is faster than I can run. That's
yeah. Yeah, just a little factoid there for you. Yeah, I know. And then whenever you talk about stuff like that, the itching response that we get just talking about it is just like a oh shoot, I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Somatic physical response.
So if you're scratching your head right now because we're talking about lice, go take a little bit of CBD, calm down. You don't have it.
Yes, calm your baby down.
Man, so it did come back, which is amazing. Plus, you also shared another fun fact with me about how lice is actually increasing since COVID.
Yes. Actually, I read that lice infestations have actually increased 35% since COVID. And that's because people are in so much, they're just so much, closer together and in contact with one another, sharing clothes, all that kind of stuff. And lice actually, it crawls. It'll crawl on you. They don't fly, they don't jump, they don't do anything. They just, that's how they work. But they'll get everywhere, and you have to treat it. And you have to treat everything, so.
I was so blown away by that. I loved your horse story, and that the honey and the CBD was the thing that helped your horse's tail after a whole year. And I think about, like, when you have, like, acne is a big deal, and when you have lesions on your face or your body, it can be so painful, and more chemicals aren't always the solution when you can do something natural that doesn't have side effects except for healing and health.
Right.
I had acne for chronic cystic acne for 10 years. And I really, obviously due to stress too, I really, really wish I had known about this. There's very strong evidence and research for how hemp and CBD help with acne. So parents, if you have kids with acne, it's a really challenging condition because you're face forward all the time, especially with all the masks now too. There's more and more rashes and acne happening because of the mask. Because in some ways you're putting a diaper on your face, and some people would even go as far as saying it's a bit of a petri dish if you're not washing it often enough. So don't be afraid to put this on your face. And like Kim's been teaching me, don't be afraid to experiment. This is pretty harmless stuff. Any other?
Go right ahead, sweetie.
No, you go ahead. I was going to ask you for more Mama Knows Best remedies.
Well, it goes along with what you were saying about wearing the mask and all that. I was watching Dr. Pimple Popper. I love to watch Dr. Pimple Popper. Not everybody will say that they watch it, but I know you probably do, and that's okay. But anyway, she was talking about how the mask breaks everything out, and she actually called it mask knee. People say you have butt knee or back knee or whatever. She called it mask knee, and talked about how it is a real problem with people having like face breakouts and the irritant and all that kind of stuff. Again, I will say, put some CBD salve on it. It will make it feel so much better. It's so moisturizing and nourishing, and it heals it. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's good for you.
Yes. And I use, if people are curious how to use this, I use the lavender salve all over my face and for like lip balm and just on my eyes throughout the day. But then I also put the tinctures in my face serums too, just for the extra cellular boost, collagen boost, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory properties that CBD has. It's really, for women, you can put it on your hands when you're, everything ages. And if you can slow it down naturally, then why not? It's a little bit bronzy too. So that's normal. If it's a little bit like you're like, oh, my skin's a little bit more brown. It's the hemp. And it won't stain. It'll fade right into your skin. Go ahead.
We're just going to be all glowing and sunny looking and bronzing and all that stuff all hemped up.
And present and calm.
I love it.
And rested.
Yes.
There's so many things.
Yes.
In wrapping up, do you have any closing thoughts for the people who are listening that are either stressed, feel like maybe abusing something too much, know a friend, a family, any closing suggestions or little tidbits that you can share with us?
Yeah, with all of the hustle and bustle and everything that's going on today, the best advice that I can give you, wherever you are, be present, be there. Don't be thinking about what you have to do next. Don't be looking at your phone. Don't be thinking about how you're going to respond to that person. Be all there. Just be. Literally, get outside and smell the roses. You know, stop, breathe, hydrate. You know, everybody's looking for such a quick fix these days. You want a quick fix, you want to feel better, drink you some water and hydrate. That's probably what's wrong. You know, there's just so much. And with substance abuse and it just being so rampant, and it affects everybody. If you have a loved one or know somebody in your life that is having problems with destructive behaviors or addictive behaviors of any sort, it affects everybody. It is such a mushroom effect. And I encourage people, if you are having any type of an issue like that, please feel free to reach out to me. I have my Facebook page at Transformed by Grace. You can slip me an email on that, on my Facebook. Feel free to send me a message. I will get back to you. If nothing else, just know I care. I care a whole bunch, and you matter and you're important.
Oh, Kim, I love that. And that's such an important way for us to close out 2020 is Kim is an expert in PTSD and trauma, and knowing that people care. Call someone, call Kim, call me, call your friends, call your family, call a support helpline. We have Robin, who's on our team too, who's also part of those helplines. It really matters to us that you're safe. So take Kim's advice, use hemp, calm down, get present, get back inside your body and connect with people, whether it's Zoom or nature or your animals or a neighbor. It's safer to connect than to be running around in fear. It's better to have prevention and not worry about, so many of the things that are just unknowns. And so thank you, Kim. This has been a great show. I've been really looking forward to sharing Kim's intelligence and radiance wisdom with you, because just even the lice is such a pearl. So don't just reach for chemicals at the first sight of an imbalance. Really kind of go in, do your research, see how you can use your hemp and your CBD for a lot of these ailments and conditions that are temporary and just need to be rebalanced out. There's so many properties in this plant that are profound and healing and great for everyday use. Everyone, next week we have Michael Mahdi. We're going to talk about the Mahdi Cancer Foundation, some new products, and just the biggest piece and the best intentions for 21. We love you. Thank you, Kim, for being here. And everyone.
Thank you so much for having me, Christy.
Oh, you are so welcome. And hopefully you come back and teach us more about PTSD, because just hearing about it, we just need to reinforce this message. So everyone,
absolutely.
Yes.
We're going to also share some random factoids.
Yes, I love factoids. So everyone, thank you for being here. Go out, hemp your health, hemp your family's health. Go spread all the good news about hemp in your health, and have a peaceful New Year's. And we'll see you in 2021. Mwah! Bye for now.
Much.
Thank you, Kim.
Bye-bye. It was a pleasure. Happy New Year's.
Happy